Lily, why does
crayon.
Flynn have to...
Haha. There we go. Shrimp number 1. Shrimp number 1 loves shrimp number 2 very much. Therefore, shrimp number 1 and shrimp number 2 wanna get married. So how do you symbolize marriage? So, if they get married and shrimp number 1 owns, let's just say, a bunch of shmoney, and shrimp number 2, I don't fucking know, owns a house. Shrimp number 1 owns a cool sports car. Vroom, vroom. A horse. An air fryer. Horses are expensive. You know what? Okay, you know what? Shrimp number 2 owns a horse. Are you sure about that? Draw a gold ship. I don't know how gold ship looks. I saw that there's a pink horse. That's all I know. It's a lily-shaped horse. It's Haru. Yeah. It's Haru la. Haru la. Okay. Anyways, they get married, right? Personally, I don't see the problem with a prenup because during the marriage, you share everything anyways. So when the marriage eventually, when at some point it no longer works out, I'm sorry if this is like a weird thing for people, or like, but I don't see the problem in, well, after let's just say 17 years, it didn't work out. I don't see the problem about the prenup where it says he gets to keep his car and the wealth he inherited before, and she keeps to get the house and her horse. You only split up the assets that you already bought. Like maybe if you contributed a fuck ton of furniture to the house but she owns the house, you can be like, okay, you know what? You can either have half the furniture, or I just add a little bit of extra to you. I just, give you some of this or give you some of whatever the fuck else. Maybe eventually they bought a second horse. Maybe, how does one draw a gold ship? So, I don't see the point, maybe I don't see why it's a big deal that if you never divorce, here's my logic, right? If you never ever divorce, ever, you get to keep sharing everything that you have, regardless of prenup or not, right? But if for some reason things eventually no longer work out, I don't see the problem if he keeps what he had before and she keeps what she had before. And everything that happened during this duration, like maybe they got this house, this horse together, and he bought this furniture. Maybe she can just be like, hey, getting a new set of furniture, it kind of sucks. You get to keep the horse, I get to keep the furniture. Or I let you have the house, but when I move out, I want to have some of your utilities. You make it even. You have to figure out how to, split the assets that you've gotten over the years, and how, if you only have one horse and both people want it, well, you have to figure out what to give in return. I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem. If you have a prenup that says, that what's his is his, what's hers is hers, and you never divorce, it's like the prenup doesn't exist, right? But if you ever do divorce, everything that you own, you just have to, what's his is still his, what's hers is still hers. Everything you got during this duration, you're gonna have to figure out how to split it up fairly. Like, I don't see what the problem is. I need someone else's perspective. Why are they against the prenup? I need someone else's perspective. Maybe someone has like a really good point that makes me go, oh, like, what would be a reason to be against it? Because they want the money? Apart from greed, that one's off the table because you're just a terrible person.
Are clearly male shrimps. Does this work with non-gay shrimps?
Fine. You can. It also works with non-gay shrimps. Yes. If you fully love and trust them, why would you need to plan out the divorce? You don't plan anything. There is no planning involved. You just go, you sign a paper that literally just says, what's his is his, what's mine is mine. Done. Signed. There is no planning. It's just if something ever happens for whatever fucking... You never fucking know. 50 fucking years together, people age, people can change locations and jobs. Maybe you have to divorce for all kinds of... Like, people always assume a divorce is like a... Fuck you, bitch. No, fucking bloody fuck you. Sometimes a divorce can also just be like, you have a family, 2 kids. You have 2 kids. And he... Let's just say... He gets a job opportunity very far away. But she wants to stay where they are. Because the kids are in school, they're growing. Changing the environment can be risky.
Not every marriage/relationship ends good. I once worked as a paralegal and saw a few marriages end in hate. Or marriages where one partner couldn't work due to child-rearing obligations. And sometimes, for the sake of survival, one of the better-off partners has to suffer. There are various reasons.
Yeah, but how is the prenup bad in that scenario? How is it a bad thing? I don't understand how the prenup hurts. How's it bad? So, you know, maybe he has an absolute insane opportunity.
Trust them now. I don't trust the hypothetical person they could be in 5 years.
Yes, like, how many times have you been friends or in a relationship with someone that you absolutely love and would die for? And then 5 years later, they change for the worse. And of course, you can always try and work through things, but it takes 2 people to want to better each other. It takes 2. So what if eventually he wants to prioritize his career over kids, but she wants to make sure she prioritizes kids over career? What if she's like, we have good money, we don't need more, I don't want to move, but he wants to move? They get a divorce because he lives at the other fucking side of the globe now. What's so bad about that? Like, just because I want a prenup doesn't mean I don't love and adore you and trust you. But I don't know what can happen emotionally, physically, or mentally in anywhere between 5 to 50 years from now. I don't fucking know. Maybe you start a fucking drinking problem. And as much as I try and help you, you're not fixing it, then I want the fucking divorce. And I sure as hell don't want the man that I once loved have half of everything equally when I already spent the last 7 years of our 30-year marriage sacrificing myself to try and, you know, make you not fall into endless despair that is alcoholism. But it takes 2 to want to change that for the better, and they never did, so, you know. Yeah, maybe I'll develop a horse addiction, and he's like, you spend all your money on horse girls, what the fuck? And then he wants a divorce. Does he deserve? Do I deserve half of what he owns? Because I drove us into bankruptcy? Fuck no. That's fucking weird. Yeah, it's a okay, so a prenup is a pre-marriage contract thing that basically says, what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. Everything you've had prior to our marriage, it's still yours. Your business, your car, your financial status, it's yours. If I had a house that you moved in and a bunch of horses, they're still mine. Even after our divorce, they're still mine. We don't split these assets fairly. This is what I had before I even met you. This is what you had before you even met me. Why would we have to split this if we at some point ever divorce? Doesn't make sense. The Haru Urara doodle is so cute. I had to draw a horse, but I'm like, I don't know how to draw a fucking horse. What the heck? How does one draw a horse? Like, maybe this is just me, but unless you have absolutely nothing, unless you have nothing. Oh, what the fuck happened? Unless you have nothing, the prenup literally is a win-win situation. Unless you have and then it's only a win if the person divorces right after, because then they just get half of his stuff. They just have to split everything down the middle. Boop, boop, boop. And fucking, here you go. Like, this is the only scenario where it wouldn't be a win-win for both people. The prenup, again, maybe I don't understand the law very well, or what a prenup is, but I don't see the problem of having both people sign this. Beep, 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 beep.
Okay.
It's a win-win. I'm trying to be very open-minded, but I feel like everyone so far has only given me a reason, like, that are manipulative and gaslighty into talking this bad. So far. Maybe people try and explain it a little too simple, but the only reasons I have against it so far are, you don't trust me? You don't love me? Like, what the fuck? Has nothing to do with that. It's weird. If that's your first reaction, maybe you aren't the one. Maybe I didn't know you enough yet. You're like, who's to say what happens? And like, if you marry, there's so many years. And like, we've all been through changes. That's not gonna change just because you're an adult. Adults can still change. They discover new hobbies, new friend groups, new whatever the fuck. People can always change. And sometimes that just makes you incompatible after X amount of years. Just because you are entirely 100% compatible right now doesn't mean you will be forever. Yeah, exactly. The prenup isn't like a 50-50. It's just whatever the fuck you agree on. And what better time to agree on any of these things than when you are in a sober mind? After he fucking cheats or she fucking cheats, then it's like, this bitch, and now you want stuff. But what better time to decide, you know, what goes where and how what is treated than when you're loving and trusting and having a good time with each other, and you know, you're in complete sober state and now you can do all these things. Yeah, it's best to decide while your minds are clear, not after, when all the shit goes down, when you're upset that your husband of 17 years cheated with the barely off-age secretary, when you realize he wasn't actually going golfing. He was putting balls in holes, but not those kind of balls, and not in those kind of holes. Like, then you're upset, and then you're like, you want them to suffer, and you want to treat them unfairly, and you want to get back to them based on how they treated you, but, you know, that's gonna be so stressful and complicated of a process. You love our outfit? Thank you! We did some small changes to my beautiful outfit because, chibi style.